Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Green Party is opposing this legislation. All of the advice that the Select Committee received from everyone involved in child safety and child health, from paediatricians to Starship, doctors to families whose children had died from drowning, the information received about the effects of near drowning on children and the significant brain injury that occurred, all said that this bill would cause more harm to New Zealand children, that it would put them at much greater risk of drowning or near drowning. And the justification given by the officials and therefore by the Minister was that it was more important for there to be some cost savings on behalf of local government than there was for the lives of children to be protected through good quality rules around the fencing of swimming pools. Now, as we know, the Swimming Pools Act the Fencing of Swimming Pools Act has actually saved a number of lives over the many years it's been in place, and this bill is a degradation of that legislation and increases risk to children. It's expected that more children will drown as a result of this legislation passing through the House. Now, one of the major issues that was raised by child health advocates, doctors, paediatricians and similar organisations was that the rules will essentially remove the requirement for child-proof fencing around four sides of the pool. It will allow for other kinds of barriers that will be subject to different kinds of looser criteria to be used around pools, but not the fencing of which, of course, as we know, has actually saved children's lives. So my supplementary order paper will reinstate the requirement for four-sided fencing. Now, that, I don't doubt that others will disagree with that, but I make no apology for putting the lives of children ahead of the need to save some costs for some local councils. Actually, children's lives are worth much more than that. And so we should be enacting law in this House that protects children and improves their safety, and this SOP will do that by requiring four-sided fencing around swimming pools. So the other thing that this SOP does, the other change this SOP does, is it makes changes to the requirement about the use of a building as part of fencing. Now, you could argue in some circumstances that the side of a building could be used as a fence because it would restrict access. But this bill allows for, makes it much easier for the side of a building which has a door or a window through which a child can access the pool as a legitimate barrier for those swimming pools. Now, as we know, we can have all sorts. We can have alarms, and we can have we can have automatic latches, and we can have all of these things. But we all know how people live in the summer in this country when the weather is good. Doors and windows are wide open. People are doing things. There's lots and lots and lots of kids around. And if you have a swimming pool, there'll be lots and lots of kids playing in the swimming pool. We know how wonderful it is for those kids to be able to play in the pool. There is no guarantee, there is no regulation that we can put in place that will ensure that the doors and windows that open onto a pool area will be kept closed and child safe. There is absolutely no mechanism in the regulation that we can put in place that will ensure that children do not get access to a pool area through the door or a window from the house out to a pool area. So, do we believe that children's safety is paramount? Do we think that it is better for the law to be clear, to be simple, and to be effective? Because if we do, in the favour of child safety, then this House would support my SOP that would prevent the side of a building that is against the immediate area of a pool having any kind of window or door in it. Because if you have a window or a door, you do not have a child-safe barrier to that pool area. Parents will leave the windows and doors open if it's warm. The older kids will leave the doors and windows open because they're just kids and they can't be expected to be held responsible. And little kids, babies, will make their way through those windows and doors into the pool area and will be at serious risk of drowning. Mr Chair. Thank you, Mr Chair. We know that that is a risk. We know that there have been examples of children accessing pool areas through windows and doors. We know that, there are circumstances where children have drowned and many, many more have suffered the effects of near drowning as a result of accessing a pool through an open door or window. We also know that even in fences, the fence latches that are designed for the purpose of being childproof are often left open by adults or by older children in the area, so that younger children are not properly supervised, have access to those pools and can drown. So why would we allow for an additional risk by saying it's okay to have a building as part, the side of a building as part of the barrier if it's got a door or window in it? We know that there's a risk. We know what the practices are of families in the summer months. So why would we increase the risk of those families having their children drown? Let's be responsible legislators. Let's put children's safety, children's well-being at the heart of the decisions that we make, and make sure that this law will protect children from drowning and injury. And I urge this House to support my SOP if you believe that putting children at the heart of policy is the most important thing we can be doing. Because children will drown as a result of this legislation passing as it is. Thank you, Mr Chair.